participation of the northeastern states in rugby is can definitely improve. The Assam women, we've just finished the women's nationals. They were placed 18th last year. They placed 13th this year. I am a great admirer of football. I'm a great admirer of what we've done in the last 75, 80 years. And it's not that cricketing nations are 150 or 200 nations. You know, at the top level, there are about 20, 25 nations playing. Rugby has taught me some of the most fundamental lessons that even my parents didn't teach me. It'll be fast, it'll be sharp, it'll be furious. Well, these are the nationals, the national women's, men's tournament which we're having in Guwahati, and the facilities are really wonderful. We are so impressed with the ground, the quality of the ground, the upkeep of the stadium. The government of Assam has been so cooperative, helpful, proactive in making sure that we have a top-class tournament, whether it is the food, whether it is the volunteers, whether it is the support staff or the medical staff. So these are things that are very important to Rugby India as a federation, that the players should have a great experience. So I think that the participation of the northeastern states in rugby is can definitely improve. We have now getting stronger participation from Assam and Manipur to a certain extent. But the depth of players that we require is not still there, and we haven't penetrated into Mizoram or Nagaland or Tripura or Sikkim or Arunachal Pradesh, etc. We as a national federation do not interfere in a state body's efforts to increase rugby playing at the grassroots or at the high performance level. These are decisions that the state body has to take. We are very democratic. It is not one of those top-down organizations anymore. So we respect and allow states to create their own programs. Whenever a state wants anything from us, if they want coaches to coach their PT teachers, if they want referees to upgrade the skill of referees in their area, if they want our developmental staff to come there and help foster development in their regions, we are always willing. If they want suggestions on how to run a high performance program, we are always willing. 3 states have reached out and said they want a high performance center and can we help them? And we have said absolutely yes. So the help will only come if you ask for it. The help is ready. We are waiting there to help any state in the country. The Assam women, we've just finished the women's nationals. They were placed 18th last year. They placed 13th this year. So there's a very good news coming out of Assam rugby also. To start penetration in other states, whether it is Tripura or Arunachal Pradesh or Nagaland, we need people in those states to come forward and say, we would like to start a rugby body. We believe that there are children interested in rugby. For that to happen, we have to consistently reach out to people in the Northeast to start talking about rugby. So for example, we have the Rugby Premier League coming up. If people from the Northeast switch on their televisions, switch on to Jio Hotstar and start watching this, there could be a whole resurgence. So we are looking at the Rugby Premier League to deepen rugby in existing areas and to start rugby in new areas. So something like that which is on mass media, which is on television and obviously on Jio Cinema, OTT, etc. We are relying on something like that. We are hoping something like that will create a sufficient interest for people from these states where rugby hasn't been played to come. Wherever there is a football culture, I am a great admirer of football. I'm a great admirer of what we've done in the last 75, 80 years. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a place for another sport. There's always space for another sport. And we want to do it in a non-invasive, non-confrontational, collaborative manner. That's how this country should move forward. We should take every federation and everybody forward for the same goal. Well, if a youngster wants to join rugby, we always start with touch rugby. So it's very much like catch and cook. It's very non-physical. It is very enjoyable. It's very quick, and you learn the basic skills of catching and passing and working with your teammates. After that, the recommendation is, in any district you are, please contact the district authorities. Rugby will be being played there at the school level, at the college level, at the university level, at the club level, and join one of those entities. And after you join one of those entities, the entire pathway up to the national team is completely open. Us, states have scouts and coaches. We also have our own. So the idea is to enter the system at the club, school or university level. And as I said, most of our districts are very, very much rural, very much in the hinterland. But there is a rugby nodal authority there. And you should contact either the state's DSYS, the state sports department, and then understand where is rugby being played in my district, in my region. And then by all means, you should go there and register and join up. So the progress of rugby in India has been twofold. One is the quality of rugby in India, played at the highest level and down the ranks. And the other is the achievement of Indian rugby at the highest level. So when we talk about rugby today, mostly we are talking about rugby sevens, which is the T20 version of rugby, and rugby 15s would be the test cricket version of rugby. So as far as the 15s rugby is concerned, that is something that the federation continues to encourage and play. We even have an inter-club nationals, but the funding that comes, the majority of funding that comes for rugby in this country is for sevens, because the Olympic Games, the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Games, all three have rugby, but in the sevens format. So if there is a quest for medals, it'll only have to be in rugby sevens. So when you talk about rugby sevens, the quality of rugby that you see on this field is not the quality that I retired in 2009, that's about 16 years ago, is way above that quality. There's no comparison. And the achievement of our rugby teams is something that most people don't know. Our women are ranked 10th in Asia out of 36 nations. Our men are ranked 15th in Asia out of 36 nations. For perspective, if you get to the top 2 in Asia, you will make the Olympic Games. So the idea is to move up 8 places in the next 7 to 11 years, whether it's 32 or whether it's 36, to make the Olympic Games and become only the second country, the second team sport in the country to make the Olympic Games after hockey in the last 70 years. So you have cricket that's coming into the Olympic Games, but that's a smaller group of nations that's coming in, not in the over 100 years of Olympic sport, etc. And that's fine. But as a team sport that has over 100 nations playing, maybe 150 nations today playing officially and unofficially rugby sevens, it's very, very competitive. But the federation is doing everything possible with every rupee that we have, working together with all the states to achieve a certain ranking at the highest level in Asia. And that achievement, as I said, the plan is to move up at least 1 or 2 places every year. So this will be a very, very important year for us in the pre-Asian Games, and we'll see that where we end up in Asia. But as they say in Hindi, umeed pe duniya qaim hai. Rugby has taught me some of the most fundamental lessons that even my parents didn't teach me. Rugby, when you play the game, you realize that if you try and play rugby alone, you'll go to hospital. You have to play with other people. So as a lesson for life, it means that whatever you do, you must do with people. You have to take people with you. You have to do things collaboratively. It's not about, I'm going ahead and leaving everybody behind. No, you can only move ahead if you take people with you. That's the greatest lesson of rugby. The second lesson of rugby is the only way losing, you will not have any regrets if you lose, is if you do your best. And in rugby, we call it leave your body on the field. That you have to do the absolute very best. And then when you lose, you have no regrets. So rugby has taught me to do everything to 100%, because then winning and losing I can deal with. That's fine. But if you don't do things to 100% and you lose, that is when it haunts you for the rest of your life. And finally, with rugby, I think one of the most quiet lessons that you learn is that in this sport, everybody is always ready to pick you up. And that lesson, that if you are down, people will pick you up. So when you see someone down, you should pick them up, I think is something that's seminally important outside these 4 white lines of the ground. That wherever you go in life, if somebody needs help, as a rugby player, you should be ready to bend down, so extend your arm and give them a hand up. I mean, there's so much to learn from cricket. The success of cricket, the appeal of cricket is something that appeals to the Indian imagination. And I think that one can learn that two formats can exist side by side, that you can be number one in the world in Test cricket, you can be number one in the world in T20 cricket, even if the times change a little bit here and there. Also, Test cricket started in 1932. It's been 90 years, you know. So I think in that respect, it does take time. And it's not that cricketing nations are 150 or 200 nations. You know, at the top level, there are about 20, 25 nations playing. So with rugby, the pool is even bigger. So you have to work harder. Definitely what the IPL has shown us is that if you have a successful league, run with a very attractive television sport, and that becomes a real lightning conductor for people to gravitate towards the sport, for people to watch the sport, for people to say, I want to play the sport. And then suddenly all your heroes and heroines, they come from places in India that you never heard of before. And we take great inspiration from that fact, because rugby is played in 322 out of 760 districts in India. 40% of India plays rugby, but nobody knows because we're not on mass media. And the moment we get onto mass media through the Rugby Premier League and have this wonderful, attractive format, we are hoping that it will have the same widespread grassroots effect across the country in a much smaller way, but widespread effect like cricket has had with its IPL. The Rugby Premier League is from June 1st to 15th. There are 6 teams. It's going to be in Mumbai. There are going to be 2 games from Monday to Thursday and 3 games every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 15 straight days. Each game is going to be 16 minutes, 4 minutes of 4 quarters with 2-minute break in between each quarter. And it'll be fast, it'll be sharp, it'll be furious. It'll be there's a score every 1.5 2 minutes in rugby sevens, and in between there's just high voltage action. There's smashing, running, kicking, catching, passing at 200 kilometers per hour.